I love that little dig at Reddit at the very end there. We are back with the analyst desk. Hello, I'm Shinmiri, and I'm joined by Specimen. This is a hell of a card, Speci. King of Beggars. Huge card. I think this is one of the strongest cards that we're going to see in the 12 card release this set.
Yeah, King of Beggars being a new thinning option for Syndicate. We've seen also Milva yesterday, sort of being a new thinning option in ways for Scoia'tael. And this is one for Syndicate, an alternative to cards like Knickers, Roach, Sunset Wanderers, which we've seen quite a bit of this weekend. Definitely going to be really powerful, giving you some extra coins every time you pay a tribute, and then eventually being summoned from your deck. But what I love about this card as well, Shin, is it is a spender as well. So if you're low on a spender, King of Beggars can fly out of the deck and come and save the day.
It's perfect. It gives you a refund on tributes, so like Graydon, Jacques, even a Professor or Scoundrel. The only thing holding this card back right now, I think, is there's not enough good tribute cards that you want to play, but there might be barely enough, but it's like it's giving you 9 coins back, 4-point body, so that's like 13 points, and then it thins itself, and it's a spender in most likely round 3 is when it's going to come out. So that's great to have that extra spender and not being denied your coin value.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. On paper, this card is incredibly strong, but when you actually look at the other cards that synergize with it, you realize that it's not going to be easy to include in every single Syndicate deck, far from it. But moving on from King of Beggars, we have...
boy Regis Reborn. So he's a legendary, of course, a unit, a vampire, 1 power, 13 provision, deploy, drain an enemy unit by 3 at the end of your turn while on hand or deck. If there is an enemy unit with bleeding, increase own base power by 1. Oh my god, he starts with a 1. I was like, why is he 1 for 13 provision? But if you have bleeding going on, he grows.
Yeah.
What's up with him?
So the region to vampire, right? This is the first super exciting thing. So our intention with Regis is to offer vampires with a finisher, because they were struggling, right, historically in short rounds, and is carryover based. But so that kind of give this side game plan for vampires to like keep that bleeding going, so that their Regis is growing.
Oh, nice. So when it comes to balance changes, are we seeing some changes to vampires
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
with this update? Okay.
Absolutely. We're giving more helps to vampires. So the first thing is that we've slightly reworked Flatter to make it into a more powerful engine, 6 provision. And we've completely reworked Catachan.
Ooh.
Yeah. Catachan used to be a bit of an oddball in vampires, because Death Wish wasn't really something that vampires were doing, right? And Thrive was a bit hard for vampire to trigger. So completely rework, and Catachan is now a very proactive play, right? Which is going to give vampires more way to profit from putting bleeding on.
Nice. Nice. That's really cool. Anything else to mention here?
Yeah, a bit of buffs to Alp, Necrat, and Gal. So like power being increased by 1, provision being lowered in the case of Gal. Yeah.
Nice. And I think this is something that will be taken in a very positive way by the community, because a lot of people were asking for vampires to actually, become stronger, get more tools, and
especially
also,
with the journey, right?
Yeah. It's all thematic here. So with the Regis journey, it makes total sense. So that's one thing for monsters, but I think there's also something else. I think there's one more thing connected to Death Wish and some balance changes there.
So with Araka's Queen, we are also bringing more support to Death Wish. So we've introduced changes to Abaya, to Brewus, Myrolorn, and Withus Incantation. All of them basically with the intention of making them more flexible. So for instance, Abaya is now able to trigger the Death Wish of any unit, not only bronzes, right?
Well, that's really cool.
And we've added a consume on order for Withus, which also, Withus Incantation, right? Which also should make her more flexible and should allow her to build up a body so that she's harder to remove.
Nice. Well, that's really cool. So those are the things you wanted to highlight for monsters.
Yes.
Perfect.
These are the main things.
Nice. Of course, there will be more changes, which you will see in the patch notes closer to the release, but yeah, you're getting this information quite early because there's still a little bit time till the update. But yeah, I'm really happy that we're doing this segment. Moving on, we have the mighty empire of Nilfgaard, and we have Jan Calveit, right?
Yeah.
Or
I'm trying to get people to call him Jean Calveit. I've been having much success.
So Jean Calveit in this case, also a legendary unit, human aristocrat of course, 8 power, 10 provision, deploy, sort cards in your deck from the highest to the lowest provision cost, okay? At the start of the game, move self up by 1 position in the deck for each tactic in your starting deck. Oh my god, this is such a cool ability.
I'm gonna give a bit of an example for the passive because I think it can be a bit hard sometimes to understand. So at the start of the game, your deck has been shuffled, right? So imagine that Jean Calveit is in the 17th position of your deck. Well, if you have 10 tactics in your deck, he's going to be moved to the 7th one, right? And after that, you draw your 10 cards, which are going to be your hand, and so he's going to be in the 7th position of your hand. So you got him. That's pretty cool, right?
Nice. Interesting. He's also moving on up in the deck, so he's like becoming, better and better and better. Nice.
Something we really like about Jan Calveit and Aldol is that they give different kind of support to tactics, where you also have payoff for running more tactics than multiples of 4, right?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
And something I enjoy about Jan Calveit is that if you play him with Enslave 6, well, in the very worst scenario where your Jan Calveit was at the bottom of the deck, well, if you're on blue coin, you're gonna be able to find him on your 3rd mulligan.
Nice.
That's assured.
That's crazy. Yeah, so he's guaranteed in this case.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. Moving on to other balance changes now, we have tactics as our first topic.
Yeah. So with the arrival of these 2 cards, a bit more help to tactics in the form of Fire Scorpion becoming cheaper by 1 provision and also losing its armor due to this. And Venedal Elite going to 5 power, which should give them a nice point slam proactive play,
Agreed.
right?
Agreed.
As a side note, we are also buffing Halfling Scythecracker, which is like kind of the similar design card but that you can find in Syndicate.
All right, cool. Really, really cool stuff. When it comes to a little bit of adjustment on the nerf side, there are, I think, 2 cards that we want to mention here.
Yes.
What are they?
Arto Terra Nova, the famous one.
Of course, or infamous.
Yeah, infamous. And Brathen. So in both cases, we are increasing their provision by 1.
Okay.
So I think Brathen is going to 11, Arto Terra Nova to 13. The intention with this one, so like Nilfgaard has not necessarily been the heart of discussions lately, but what we've seen is that it had very great success on the very top of the leaderboard. And we think that one of the reasons is that it's too easy for Nilfgaard to fit all of their very big payoff cards, right? And so with these changes, we intend to make it a bit harder for them to do so.
Okay, makes total sense. Nice. So that concludes Nilfgaard in this case. We're moving on to one of my favorite characters now, who is part of Northern Realms, and we have King Radovid. King Radovid is back, Ratty Daddy. Legendary unit, human soldier, 6 power, 10 provision. Deploy. If the base version of your leader ability has more than 1 charge, give it an additional charge. Order, repeat the deploy ability. All right. This is really good.
Yeah, this is really big, right? Being able to gain up to 2 more charges of your leader ability.
Crazy. So what was the idea? What's up with Ratty Daddy here?
So something that's very important to mention is that there's probably all the players that remember Radovid as kind of this offensive card, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that might feel like, where is it, right? The thing is, this is not what we want to achieve with Northern Realm anymore, right? So we've decided that instead of highlighting Radovid's like static side, right? We would instead focus on his master strategist figure. And that comes under that form of giving you more leader charge, more leeway for
Yeah.
your big plan.
Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, he is a bit strategic, but also he's very crazy. So I really like the idea and the different approach this time. It's really cool. When it comes to balance changes, leader abilities, there will be some changes here to 2 leader abilities, if I'm not mistaken.
So with Radovid, we're increasing the provision count of shield wall in Uprising to 15.
Nice.
And with that, we hope that you'll have more variety and incentive to try out different leader abilities in the faction, especially with the card that synergizes with them.
Nice. Well, that's really cool. When it comes to a little bit on the nerf side, so the changes here, alumni once again.
People
what's
expect.
happening here?
Yeah, it's been spinning a lot of ink, right? Like people expect something on alumni.
I'm not surprised.
Well, we don't necessarily believe that the deck is as busted as people sometimes make it out to be. But still, it's important, and so we've decided to address it on 2 different fronts. And the first one is that Rafat's Vengeance has proven to be a powerhouse of a card, and and like one of the main driver of the game plan. So we're nerfing him by 1 provision, and it doesn't seem that big. But it actually make him out of the reach of Amphibious Assault at 10 provision, right?
Exactly.
And that means that the card consistency takes a big toll due to this. So we think this should bring the alumni-based deck, in mages in general, right, a bit more down.
Yeah.
And the second change is that we're changing Laetitia Charbonneau so that she won't be increasing her on power, her on patience, anymore.
And I think this is the big one, at least, the big highlight for me here.
This is a pretty big one because this interaction, it created an exponential growth of your mages and eventually the alumni. And I think it was kind of the art of what was crystallizing player frustration when we were seeing like these screenshots with like these gigantic values that alumni could reach. At the same time, we realized that it was fun for some players, right? Like this kind of.
Of course it is.
But
who doesn't like having 1,000,000 points?
Yeah.
But I also understand that there are players who totally despise and hate this. So it made sense that it's kind of like you get 2 polar opposites. When it comes to
exactly. So we had to take a step.
Cool. Awesome. So that's it for Northern Realms. Now moving on to the best faction in the game, Skellige. Of course I had to say that.
Yeah.
And we have Saskia Commander, legendary unit Dragon, spoiler alert, 4 power, 13 provision immunity. Deploy. If you have at least 10 different primary categories in your starting deck, summon a random bronze Skellige unit with a primary category that is not on your side of the battlefield from your deck to this row. That's a mouthful. At the end of your turn, lower the counter by 1. When the counter reaches 0, reset it and repeat the deploy ability. Counter 3. That is a long one.
Yeah.
But that is such a crazy cool card. That's a crazy cool ability.
We think so too.
What's going on here?
So with this card, we intend to reward players for their deck building in one hand, right? So like with the number of categories in your deck and everything, but also their ordering, right? Because Saskia is not going to be summoning card if you filled your board with categories, all of the categories that you have in your deck. And this effect is going to be repeating every 3 turns.
Nice.
We think that immunity on this card is fine because she takes a while to develop, right? And in fact, we think that it's going to take time for players to properly develop her, and that is going to create really interesting deck building challenges for you Terry Crafter out there.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some really crazy cool decks for this one. And yeah, I think it's going to be a fun card to play for sure, When it comes to balance changes, there are some changes to movement.
Yes. So we've decided to buff a few bronzes of the movement archetype. The first one is Dread Matron, going from 5 provision to 4 provision.
Nice.
And this should be actually pretty big because historically movement has been having trouble finding good 4P targets.
Okay, exactly.
And Dread Matron is a pretty good engine for the deck.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We're also changing Cutwitcher Saboteurs so that his damage floor has been raised by 1.
Okay.
So before he was damaging for the number of cards that the card would travel through, right?
Exactly.
Now this is +1.
Okay.
And so what it also means is that you can target the card that is already on the leftmost position to deal 1 damage to it.
Nice.
One caveat, however, is that if you do so, the card doesn't actually move, and so your Milva is not going to be coming out of the deck.
Okay.
And this is pretty important because, as some of you probably have seen already, Saboteurs might be pretty good with Milva.
They are. They are. That's an interesting change, though. Okay. Okay.
And one last one is that we're adding something to Abandoned Girl, and it's so that upon transforming when using her Hoarder, she will gain vitality based on the number of Dryads on the row.
Oh, okay.
And she will count self, right? So at the very minimum, this is a +1.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So should be pretty good with
That would be
Saskia
really
Commander.
good. That would
Pretty
be
good
really
target.
good. Nice. When it comes to the stat part, of course, because we're talking about Skellige, there are a couple nerfs. One is
Yes.
Bountiful Harvest.
Yes. So Bountiful Harvest has proven to be a very good mid-range card, and we think that it's due to the ability to easily, there was a more than 40% chance to find Sorceress, right? Which would then get you another special if your opponent was not answering it.
A lot of value,
Yes.
easily. Yeah.
The approach we've decided to take for this one is to widely open the pool by changing it from Dol Blatana elves to elves in general.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, and we think that might put back a bit of dilemmas as to which card you pick depending on where you want the boost to land, right?
Nice, nice, exactly. Really cool stuff. Moving on, we have Skellige, and the card here is Ceres Fearless. Of course, she is fearless. Legendary unit human warrior, 4 power, 10 provision. After you've dealt damage to allied units 9 times, summon self from your deck to your ranged row. Zeal order. Fully heal all allied units and damage another allied unit by the amount healed. Cooldown 1. Wow. That is amazing for Skellige as an ability. And crazy. All of these are crazy.
Does it remind you of something?
Yes, it reminds me of something. It reminds me to old Ceres.
Well, we've been pretty inspired by a quest from Witcher 3, which is the Possession quest,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
relates our encounter with the Aim,
Exactly.
right? So, yeah, the idea is that Ceres is gonna see that you've been hurting your units. That's weird, right? So she will come out of the deck to investigate, and then she will attempt to fix the situation by transferring, right, the cursed damage from one unit to the other.
Yeah.
Uh,
Nice.
This opens 2 different opportunities. One is to put damage from a unit that would like to be healed to a unit that will actually benefit from getting damage, right? It can be a Berserker unit, it can be Olaf, for
Olaf,
instance. The other way to use it is to cheat the heal by healing a unit by a lot of points, right? And then proceeding to damage a low power unit.
Yeah, which makes total sense just to get it out of the board, but
Exactly.
then like fixing all your other units pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We think it's going to be a very interesting card for the Self-Wound archetype. I think it has the potential to kind of tie that archetype together, but at the same time it's probably quite hard to use, and we think it's going to take time to be developed, and we'll be keeping an eye on it.
Nice. Nice, really cool. Speaking of that, also some balance changes to Self-Wound here.
Yes.
Like one change, but also something
Yes,
that will be good here.
it's very simple. We're decreasing Arch's provision by 1. We think we had slightly overestimated the value from him when we released the change to him. So yeah.
Another balance change to an archetype in some way is pirates. Arr.
Yeah. So just like vampires, it's the comeback of pirates from when we developed them a lot in March. It comes under the form of a full rework of the Onslaught leader ability.
Oh wow, really?
Yes, and
That's
Onslaught
big.
is now going to work with pirates and ship, right? It's going to be the main way that
really
we
cool.
hope you're going to play the deck.
Nice.
We're also reworking Demon Courser with the intention of like differentiating him from Necrat and allowing him to kind of work better with that affinity that pirates have with armor, right?
So cool. So cool. Yeah, I hope that a lot of players will actually check this deck out and play it a little bit more.
And in fact, I think they are getting even more help because a lot of veteran units are actually pirates, right?
True.
And so I think Bran is going to synergize very well, not only with the warrior deck, but also very much with the pirate deck. And especially because pirates actually have an easy time triggering excess damage.
True.
Especially through the ability of Crack and Crate.
Nice. This is all good. This is all good. But it cannot only be about the good stuff. What about the nerfs here? we have Fukushi once again.
Yeah, Fukushi once again. It's still a very versatile,
It is.
omnipresent card in Skellige.
True.
And so for this, we're nerfing her provision to go to 14.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and in a similar way, we've also decided to increase Coral's provision by 1.
Makes sense.
Basically, we do like the discard package. We like the usage that players have of it, but we think it became too prevalent.
Yeah.
And we want players to once again think more about which consistency routes they want to be running in their Skellige deck.
Which makes total sense. Awesome, awesome. Well, a lot going on here in Skellige for sure. I think the other faction that we mentioned at the beginning is Monsters, where you're getting treatment for like a whole archetype. It was vampires there. Here we have the pirates. Really excited for pirates, so I really want to check that out.
Me too.
Yeah. Moving on, we have Syndicate. We have Cirrus Engelkind Hamelfar. You know Hamelfar. You know the big dude. Firesworn, of course. 3 power, 12 provision. Profit 4, deploy, spawn and play Congregation. Fee 2, destroy an allied Firesworn token, then summon a bronze Firesworn unit from your graveyard to the same position. Cooldown 1.
Oh. This is a pretty
Cool.
big deal
Yeah,
for Firesworn, right? Because it's gonna allow them to be replaying their key bronze cards. Which will help the deck not having to burn all of its resources away in a single round, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is going to make Firesworn players really, really happy.
Yeah.
Really happy.
And in general, this is a very good card for Firesworn. It basically does everything that the deck wishes for. It generates Firesworn bodies. It gives you, it allows you to like recycle the space taken by your Firesworn token, because space is a huge problem for that archetype. It even fixes for coin, because sometimes Firesworn has trouble finding them.
That's true.
And at the same time, Firesworn also has sometimes problems spending them. So it's not the greatest spender of all time, but it's a pretty decent one.
It's pretty cool.
And one more thing I really like about this card is that since it generates a crime, it can even fit pretty well in the Firesworn crime hybrid deck, right?
Yeah, you could actually mix those two up and it will totally work with this card. Really cool, really cool. When it comes to other balance changes, Tribute, what's happening here?
So on the Tribute side, so we've released King of Beggars, which I think is going to be a really great support for that archetype, especially since he kind of eliminates this need to be replenishing your coin, right? Every time you want to be using a new tribute. And another thing that it provides is this ability to like spend away your coins, which sometimes tribute decks struggle with. I mean, I guess kind of Syndicate's take in general.
Yeah, agreed here.
And to go along with this, we've been raising the power of Renegade Mage to 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really cool change. And that's it.
Yeah, I think that's everything, but that's a lot.
That's it.
I mean, that's it. That's
I mean,
all
that's
of
it.
the changes that
There's
we want.
only good stuff
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Syndicate. There's nothing on the nerf side. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really
yeah,
happy
yeah.
with it.